So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final game of the day. We're here now in the round of 8. Fnatic Red Call facing off against Orange Esports Malaysia. And as we were just talking about in a little pregame, this should be an interesting match for a number of reasons. One, because only one of these teams will be able to make it on to that huge invitational coming up next weekend, I believe. It's not officially announced, but I believe that's the tentative scheduled date. Second, both these teams are very, very powerful, very highly regarded for their respective regions. Of course, Fnatic for the EU and Orange Esports on the G Arena server. And both of them will be at DreamHack, and both teams are sort of a little bit of a mystery to us here on the international client. As we know, Fnatic Red Call was already qualified for DreamHack, so we haven't been seeing them practicing too much. They haven't started boot camping yet. And Orange Esports Malaysia, I mean, we never get to see them. It's a pretty rare treat that we get to see them at all, especially against a team that we're all pretty familiar with. So, I don't know, man. You know, Fnatic Red Call, notably a little bit out of shape as they're waiting to boot camp, and Orange Esports Malaysia, a little bit of that wild card feature aspect going in, where I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, that's why, you know, I stress the point that for me, I'm obviously excited to have a hell of a match here, and it's just best of the one, so that's kind of the unfortunate thing, but one team moves on, one team will be knocked out, but I really just can't wait to get some good information out of this, because as you stated there at the end, you know, Fnatic, they have been focusing on some other things lately, and you know they haven't been putting their full attention in the HON just recently. They are planning on doing some boot camping right before the DreamHack event, but that hasn't come up just yet. So you know what are they about right now? Of course, Orange Esports Malaysia, again being the Southeast Asian team, how will they match up against an opponent that they're going to have to face at that DreamHack event? I did do some ping-alls and some information there. It is on a US West server, to clarify that, and actually the average ping for both teams, it's very, very, very even. So both teams, of course, having to deal with that whole latency issue due to international play. But so with that out of the way, yeah, I can't wait to see what we have in this game here. Now, obviously, the big point to make, too, is it is not the full roster for Fnatic. Fntc is actually in place of Nova, of course. But Fntc, fantastic support player himself. So, you know, I don't think it's necessarily the biggest loss by any means for Fnatic, but still worth noting there.
Yeah, I mean, two very, very well-known, highly regarded support players. Nova, everyone knows, and Fntc as well. I mean, a very, very good support player. So in this case, kind of a perfect role swap as far as that ringer, as you noted. So should be interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bans here, as I believe the banning phase is complete. Fly going to start it off actually with a ban on Wild Soul, followed up by Tundra, Keeper of the Forest, Torturer, Pebbles, Ophelia, Polywog Priest, and Tempest. Wow. Look at all of those pushing heroes. I mean, almost every single ban, except for maybe 6 out of the 8 are all pushing heroes to some degree. So, wow, very interesting banning phase here to start things off.
Yeah, and obviously that's the Wild Soul one, of course, the big one that stands out to me. And I was just looking through, I'm like, all right, well, the first thing you want to do in a case like this, why would a person like Fly ban a hero like Wild Soul, highly regarded as one of, if not the best, drafters in the game? You look at Mr. Ghost right there, obviously a lot of recent history with Wild Soul, and even in their last game where he went 7-1-8. So clearly a case of Fnatic, as they always do, doing their research and knowing, you know, what to expect at least to a certain extent, despite not necessarily being able to see this team all the time. So that's just one of those bans, very respect ban there. Banning that hero. Other than that, I mean, it really isn't too crazy, but you're a lot. There's a mass push potential, such that Polywog Priest and even Torture. So, yeah, but the picks have begun now, and we definitely got some solid picks on both sides here to start.
Yeah, definitely right. Fnatic looking a little bit more traditional with their picks, going with that early Meraxis pickup here, of course, Bubbles and Glacius, and just now grabbing that Mage Bane era, going to pick him and ready up, so, you know, one of the more well-known carry players in the world, going to be rocking that Mage Bane. We'll see what they do with this last pick. Hani picking around a couple of different heroes here, but could opt for that Parasite, one of the few junglers still available.
Yeah, really one of the only junglers I think is still available, especially with that Wild Soul being even banned. Of course, you know, Legionnaire you could say, but I think that is pretty much the safe pick there, and yeah, that is how they're going to finish things off. But now, okay, about this lineup, obviously a very powerful one. I expect it to be Glacius, Mage Bane, Meraxis, Bubble Solos, then a Parasite, of course, in the jungle. They did pick up the Mage Bane, and wow, look at that right there from Orange Esports. Now, before that even final pickup there, I look at this Hellborn team. they knew that they're going up against a lot of crowd control here on this Hellborn team, and a good amount of burst damage as well. I mean, Aluna, Valkyrie, Pyromancer, and Magnus, all very roam heavy, a lot of burst potential. Definitely have that gotcha potential as well. So that's one of the little things that I maybe worry a little bit with that Mage Bane pick, but it is Aeroplane Mage Bane. He's very confident with that hero, as we've seen so many times. When we have cast a Fnatic in recent history. So yeah, but I am very intrigued. But that Dark Lady final pick here from ORGE Esports, talk about it. That's another thing about this ORGE Esports team, being Southeast Asia, perhaps the meta a little bit different over there with some different heroes, and well, going with the curveball there with the Dark Lady pick. Can't wait to see how she does here.
I am going to be very, very intrigued to see how this one turns out. We commented the other day when we saw a Sandwraith versus Magebane game that, wow, talking about blast from the past, we're seeing two teams with hardcore agility melee carries, which are kind of rare in and of itself in this current metagame, but to see one on each team is just is this three? Whoops, that would be the wrong preset. Is this 2 or 3 years ago? I don't think Han's been out for 2 or 3 years. Is this a year and a half to 2 years ago? I'm pretty intrigued. Even Dark Lady as well, a hero we don't get to see that often. But I think the point you made about this Hellborn side is really spot on as far as their burst damage. They have, I would say, a little bit more of an aggressive lane. Or aggressive setup here with that Pyromancer in particular, of course, bringing a lot of burst damage. They do have the Magnus Valkyrie lane, which they may choose to run, or they could always put that Pyro Magnus together. Dark Lady. they have a lot of laning options here on the Hellborn side as well. I'm pretty pumped up, Reiki.
I am too. I wouldn't be surprised to see tri-lane here from our Hellborn team. That's something we've been definitely seeing a little bit more of.
Interesting, yeah.
Something like the Aluna, Magnus, Dark Lady tri-lane. And then, of course, you have Valkyrie and Pyromancer as your two solos. And the fact that they are going up against a jungle strategy, they could, ideally match up those solos against the other. Or, if anything, have Valkyrie, of course, playing that suicide lane role. So, that's what I'm really intrigued to see here. Now, you could argue, especially since it is going to be a 2-2-1 or 2-1-1 setup with the jungle, maybe it's not worth investing into a tri-lane. And if they start out at 1, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a lot of movement right off the bat. But, just something to keep in mind, of course, from ORGE Esports Malaysia and what they decide to do. But, yeah, that Dark Lady pick, of course, another great thing about picking up her is that she activates those Dark Blades, she jumps on a Mage Bane, and along with all the CC that's coming out, if you also get a silence on top of that, that's difficult for him, man. So that's Era, fantastic player, and definitely considered one of the best in the world, even. But
that's interesting.
He's gonna have to be going up against quite a bit here from ORGE Esports.
I am trying to think of a time that I have casted a game with teams of this magnitude where there's been a Mage Bane versus a Dark Lady. And I don't know if that's ever been the case. Who's the harder carry? That's what's going on in my mind right now. It's all pretty subjective, and they're both very similar. But
I think Mage Bane is definitely the more efficient farmer as the game progresses, simply because of that blink ability and how often he can use it. Charging Strike's obviously pretty solid. I don't think it's as much range, though, if I'm not mistaken. And it, of course, 9-second cooldown compared to what the blink is. Being at 6 seconds, a little bit less time, and I believe the range is a little bit longer on Flash, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
I think charging strikes does limit you a little bit. You can't charging strikes up onto a plateau.
Exactly. That's actually a really good point to make. It definitely is blocked by objects. And that on top of course, the blink from Mage Bane applying a magic shield as well. So I think in that sense, you could argue that he can progress a little bit more efficiently than Dark Lady, but Dark Lady, man, if she gets a farm, if it has to be even farm between the two, she will do a ton of damage and become very difficult at the top. We see Mage Bane get caught right here. Where's the follow-up stun? And a 3-second arrow on Mage Bane will fall. Could not blink away in time. That is a perfect start for ORGE Esports Malaysia right there. Era living life on the edge, and he did attempt to blink a little bit late right there.
Yep, definitely right. That was very well done. ORGE Esports Malaysia stacking those stuns very nicely. 3-second Valkyrie arrow as well. Already, like you said, couldn't really be off to a better start than that. Luna actually the one to pick up the bonus Bloodlust Gold, so as she sits there on her 1500 GPM, probably going to be able to pick up a ward or two with that extra Bloodlust Gold. We could even see some action in the mid lane here against Pyromancer as we see Parasite, unfortunately, looking like that he almost wanted to do something, but as we've noted a few times, that level 1 bloodlust type scenario, Parasite's one of the most useless heroes as he's pretty much required to get infest level 1, so a little bit unfortunate.
Oh my god.
They couldn't set anything up on the Pyromancer, but yeah, Orange Esports Malaysia already giving us a show.
This is the last thing I expected the lanes to be. It is a Dark Lady versus a Mage Main at the top lane, 1 versus 1. I mean, I look at that, I'm like, what? Where did this come from? Okay. Obviously, Mage Main did go bottom first, but you see right here, Glacius is going to make his way all the way to the top, so obviously going to make that eventual adjustment. And I'm sure Orange Esports, in fact, we do see Aluna in the Legion jungle, or the Hellborn jungle, excuse me, harassing Parasite a little bit, going back and forth. But she too will eventually make her way up here. But yeah, it was just kind of funny, you know, seeing this early on, that 1 versus 1 matchup going on. But that's good by Orange Esports. I mean, they did force the early switch here from Fnatic after that Bloodlust going to Mage Main. Realizing it just wasn't going to work at that bottom side. So I think this is definitely more of what I was expecting to see from the lanes. In fact, Magnus is even roaming towards that top side, so it is going to kind of develop into that tri-lane setup, especially knowing that Parasite's in the Hellborn jungle. So I really like what Orange Esports Malaysia is doing here early on.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and of course down in the bottom that does open up a 1v1 lane, Valkyrie versus Bubbles, so that's definitely good news for Orange Esports Malaysia. Generally speaking, Valkyrie should have a pretty damn good time. Interesting build from Bubbles here as well in this 1v1 scenario. You definitely think a Ring of the Teacher first would be kind of the go-to item, especially to deal with all that harassment from Valkyrie. As you see, she does have a Ring of the Teacher, but Bubbles sitting on early boots. He did go for very, very fast boots, which is just a little bit intriguing.
Mm-hmm. That's very true there. So we'll see how that progresses for, of course, No Tail playing the Bubbles down there at the bottom side. This middle matchup, too, though, and again, I don't think we've given enough credit yet to this Pyromancer pick here from Orange Esports. Not a hero that we see all too often, but, you know, occasionally when we have seen him, it usually is played as more of a laning role, if not even support. But seeing in the solo role, I personally love to see. I mean, there's definitely some games that come to mind and some player specifics, specifically, you know, Faye, obvious name that comes to mind for old school history. Playing just awesome Pyromancers, and of course just similar to a Hag, a Bubbles, you know, whatever, gets that portal key, Polywalk Priest even, where he just can become that quote-unquote carry that we were talking about earlier on as well today, in the sense of just taking off, the snowball effect. But the great thing about Pyromancer, too, is that Fervor, which he actually does already have a level in, that can also be very effective going into the later game. And he can definitely build into more of a right-click style of hero as the game progresses, as more of a luxury style later on. And with the Fervor stack on top of that, he can dish out some good right-click damage as well. So.
Yeah, oh, definitely right, and not to be underestimated as a pushing tool as well. Those stacks do start to add up, and, you know, it really open up a lane, allow him to solo push. You get, you know, 10, 15 auto attacks off on a tower, and that dot will start ticking pretty damn quick. So definitely not something to underestimate. But so far, Paparazzi having a really good time in middle against Hani on that Meraxis, sitting 13-7 with Hani only 7-2. Just by looking at this mid lane, we see the harassment on the Meraxis is pretty much non-stop. So looking good for Orange Esports Malaysia, at least in the mid lane. Down in the bottom, let's see what those creep stores look like. Bubbles being played by No Tail, sitting 10-7 right now, whereas Valkyrie sitting 12-8.
Oh.
And up in the top lane, Mage Main going to be in big trouble. They're going to be able to finish this kill. One hit from death.
Oh, the power throw.
Not going to be able to do it. The power throw just going to be short. That is so painful to see. Mage Main almost getting taken down, but Era going to barely be able to survive.
Yeah, even as early on as it is, I mean, it just shows you the power of those dark blades with the silencing effect on top of the extra damage that it applies, nearly taking out Mage Main right there. And perhaps you could say Era, you know, perhaps being a little bit too confident as much up as he was, and despite being as low as he was in life pool. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Pyromancer actually dropping a Meraxis right here, and Pyromancer going to easily fall. So Hani able to get positioning, missing the beginning of that, but somehow able to collapse on top of him next to that creep wave and really trap him in right there. So well played by Hani. Able to get the first kill of the game for Fnatic, which actually ties it now, of course, at one hero kill apiece. So, but yeah, that top lane, man. I mean, Dark Lady got so close to getting a kill. That would have been huge for Orange Esports, but Era stays alive. But you do look at Dark Lady's farm. Creep score-wise, it's actually very comparable, very even right now with that Mage Main. So a lot of back and forth there at the top lane.
Yeah, just in that mid lane, I think what happened was Pyromancer actually threw an aggressive stun that Hani juked by going forward, so he was right in Pyro's face, and after the stun was missed, he dropped a Quake, then got in really good positioning, and after that, Pyro really didn't have much of an out, and we see Pyro in big trouble here as Fly comes in on Parasite. The ultimate actually used by Hani as well to secure the kill, so Paparazzi, although looking very good in the early stages, now definitely struggling a little bit. after conceding 2 quick deaths. Before those kills, the GPM graph was very, very even. Now, if you look at it, I mean, it's still fairly even, but it seemed everyone was staggered around that 200 GPM mark just a few moments ago. Now, Meraxis obviously pulling ahead, sitting around 290.
I mean, this game is kind of expected, off to a very, I guess not even kind of expected, just really, that was one of the questions, how even was this going to be, and that's a lot of information we're looking for out of this matchup specifically, being a best out of 1 series, but so far, it is actually very, very even on. Of course, only 6 minutes in, we do see, I thought Dark Lady may be getting a little bit jump right there, but no, just doing some creep stacking as well as some damaging. Unfortunately, not going to stack it like she wanted to, I believe, but we'll have to worry about polling because you see Magebane and Glacius up there, and a Luna support not here. Meraxis and Parasite, though, they're roaming to the top lane, and obviously Dark Lady spotting that perhaps with this Ward of Sight on their ramp side here in the middle lane, and that's starting to fall back as a result, and he's going to farm some creeps. So Fnatic trying to go very aggressive early on here on this Dark Lady. Unfortunately for them, though, they will not find Dark Lady, as she makes the smarter decision, of course, to go into the jungle and pick up her farm in there. Pyromancer getting absolutely free farm now as a result of this, hitting that level 6 mark, so that's always an important mark on most heroes, especially Pyromancer. And then, of course, Valkyrie and Magnus doing the thing at the bottom lane. If they get a stun on the Bubbles, may be able to combo, but doesn't look like they're going to get that opportunity as Bubbles falls back. So Fnatic going for a kill up top. Again, though, unfortunately for them, Dark Lady's already moved on, so spending some time up here. We'll see how they adjust now.
Definitely. I mean, they're wasting a lot of time here, and it's, as you mentioned, Pyromancer going to be free farming down here in the bottom lane. This tower taking a little bit of pressure, and a Luna actually going to come in from behind, open with that stun on the Bubbles. A beautiful take cover, going to shoot 2 stun and power throw, but I don't think it's going to be enough to secure his health or his life. Indeed not, as Bubbles does get taken out. Magma's going to be able to survive, just a little bit of health to spare. Up in the top lane, though, they're not wasting too much time, as this tower taking pretty heavy damage. Magebane and Meraxis just sharing the damage here. Looks like this tower is going to fall pretty much unchecked from ORGE Esports Malaysia, actually completely unchecked. So they will concede an early tower kill to the hands of Magebane. Ooh, a little bit scary.
I don't know if that's a choice necessarily. I mean, they have no homecoming stones. Obviously, they got invested in that bottom lane. They really just, it was a case of, you know what, we couldn't make it happen. But speaking of porting in, obviously they came to the bottom lane, and Valkyrie will be taken out from Meraxis with the haste and Bubbles as well. Magnus trying to get away right here. Going to have to use a steam bath, but I think he's still going to fall. 1 second stun. No, the nice Quake Stun right before. And Hani picks up the double tap. So Meraxis proven yet again to be a big impact here early on in this game. And no doubt Hani, very, very good for Fnatic's team, for Fnatic now, as he is up to 300 GPM, already with 4 0-0 hero kill stats. So well played on his part. Luna in the meantime at the top lane will get taken out as well once again in Fnatic. And now Magebane, you mentioned that tower kill, some kills he's been involved in heroes, and all of a sudden he's up to 318 gold per minute, the top farm in the game. It just got really scary now for ORGE Esports.
Yeah, absolutely right. Bubbles down here in the bottom lane in a little bit of a sticky situation, though No Tail's doing a fantastic job. He's actually going to be able to survive. Absolutely well done. Valkyrie, I think she used that leap a little bit too early, tried to leap in front of No Tail. He saw that coming, and, well, he made it happen to survive. So very, very well done down there in the bottom. Magnus now finding himself in a little bit of trouble. He is going to steam bath, but I don't know if he's going to be able to survive, and actually he does, so never mind. Parasite and Glacius not going to hang around long enough. But Meraxis going to overcommit here. I actually did miss how that happened exactly, but he is going to go down nonetheless.
He thought he could kill Magnus, chasing him down, but all of a sudden the support came and obviously turned it. So.
Oh, Pyromancer used his ult with a double damage. That would be what happened.
And there's also that too, yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Also that. So Hani obviously got those 4 hero kills, but the death right there. And that's actually a good streak for who got the kill. Mr. Ghost on a Luna right there. So nice 340 bonus gold for Luna. Definitely help out in some warding situation as she's actually finished her Striders, as you can see. But Valkyrie she's been the focus here for ORGE Esports, kind of the successful shining star early on. Got her Steam Boots, Ring of the Teacher, farming 285 gold per minute. Again, nothing too crazy, but she has been the one that's been up there as a result of being at the bottom lane. Now, Dark Lady's farm, and especially when you compare it to Magebane, hasn't been too impressive. Meanwhile, Glacius at the top rune, the haste rune will spawn. Glacius will fall down, and of course, Mr. Ghost on a Luna will pick it up, but Parasite takes it away from her with a face hug, and they're going to easily turn this around now. We do see Magma's already going down, of course. Deja Vu there, not going to happen. Void Rift comes out, and you see the new taunt going to be used right there as Magebane, actually, or not new taunt, announcer back, I guess, but Era gets credit for that kill. I mean, This game is starting to go more and more in the favor of Fnatic simply because, if anything, of that mage ban is really just taking off now. And it goes back to a term that people may hate. It's era being era. Mage ban doing the thing once again, and well, it's tough for Orange now. But they do have a lot of CC still. That has not changed. So that's something they're going to really have to capitalize on here.
Exactly right. But, I mean, Orange Esports just started off so strong. We see in the top, Parasite going to hop inside a Wild Hunter, the perfect spawn for him, as we see all of the Orange Esports team, less that of Valkyrie down in the bottom lane, going to be there to converge on him, and he's going to get the Magic Immune creep, be able to go invisible, and he's just going to head for the hills. So that is a little bit of a lucky break for Fly, and as he heads back to friendly territory here. But yeah, as we noted a couple times, Orange Esports Malaysia started off strong, and now seeing them fall this far behind early on definitely makes me a little bit nervous. Dark Lady is really not taking off. I mean, comparing her farm to Mage Bane, 360 compared to 204. She's going to go ahead and pick up that Sustainer first before Boots, which is a little bit of an interesting choice as well. In the mid lane, Pyromancer going to be in some big trouble, is going to eat an Axe, but does get a nice stun onto Meraxis. Is Hani going to man up here to try to finish this kill? And he's not actually going to run as you see the port come in. Fntc going to get caught out of position, and he's going to fall to the wrath of a Phoenix Wave from Pyromancer. And down he goes. So a nice turnaround from Orange Esports Malaysia. I thought Pyromancer were going to be in a bit of a sticky situation, but did turn it around. Up in the top, Dark Lady could be a little bit of trouble, but no, Magnus comes in with a nice stun. Fortunately, Dark Lady without enough mana can't drop a silence or do any kind of burst, and Era is going to be able to survive fairly easily as well. I mean, just looking at the difference between Mage Bane and Dark Lady, same items, except, oh, you know, Mage Bane's got Steam Boots, no problem there. In the mid lane, we see Paparazzi get taken down to the Wrath of Hani, so getting a little bit of vengeance for his good buddy, Fntc.
Well, a big note on that, Dark Lady doesn't even have boots, let alone Steam Boots, so that's kind of a big deal as well, choosing not to go the boots route. And we do have action here at the top lane, actually. We see Bubbles barely going to get away, as is Magnus, kind of 1-for-1. Dark Lady running into suicide right now. She will get that kill. Well, you know the rest of it, though, but at what cost right there? Mage Bane turns around with the Void Rift. He gets the kill himself, so you could definitely say big time in favor of the Legion team. Meraxis ends up cutting off Magnus for the kill, and now Luna being chased back. She did happen to pick up an invisible rune, though, and she will be fine as a result. So, but yeah, that was definitely a case of Dark Lady. She was so tunnel visioned on that kill right there onto Bubbles. Well, he got it, but, you know, Mage Bane got a kill onto him as a result of it, so not the most friendliest of situations there for her. But yeah, Dark Lady no boosts, and again, you know, with that charging strikes, just feeling that with the minimal farm too that she's had throughout this game, would rather try to get that, what I'm guessing is going to be a Rune Cleaver as soon as possible, but can't even get that, really. I mean, she's got the Sustainer finish, but no gold after that. She finally did purchase boots. She said, all right, I'm going to kind of need these, I guess. Probably the smart decision, but she's already fallen so far behind, and it goes on top of the fact that Mage Man is just progressing and progressing. He's going to have his Rune Cleaver in the very near future. It's getting ugly, continuing to be uglier here for Orange Esports now.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, talk about a great game so far. Hani is right now 7-1-1. It just seems like he's in the right place at the right time in pretty much every situation. As we saw in that last engage, Magnus almost got away. I think it was Magnus. Yeah, it was. And Hani just hopped in and picked up the kill. You know, super easy. Magnus just a few hits from death. So I got to give a lot of credit to Hani for really playing an active Meraxis early on. You know, farming when appropriate in this mid lane, but also really moving around very effectively. Hey, Stroom going to spawn in the top lane here, and we'll see who picks it up. A 5-second arrow going to connect with No Tail, though. There's the power throw. There's the stun for Magnus, and Bubble's going to be in huge trouble. He's going to fall. Magnus looking like he's going to be in some trouble as well, but no, he's going to be able to survive, at least for now. There's the Steam Bath, and we do see Hani on that Meraxis going to be able to survive as he was the one to pick up that haste rune. So things definitely not going the way No Tail hoped. Nice arrow there.
Meraxis is just like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and tank your Pyromancer ultimate, no big deal. That's definitely what he did right there, so unfortunate timing by Pyromancer. I don't even think he realized he had his ultimate activated, but because it was, obviously, again, we saw the minimal damage that came out from that sequence. But you're right, I mean, Bubble's a case of waiting to help protect that top room, but all of a sudden a 5-second arrow flies in and literally did nothing that whole fight because he was just caught control the whole time, so but they did end up at least grabbing it, did more axes at least, and he got away with it. So that's the good news. We're now 15 minutes in, though, and Mage Man continuing to do his own thing. 358 gold per minute and counting. He's got to be so close to that Rune Cleaver now. I believe he has enough to go for one, if not the second one coming on the way. Power Mancer in the meantime in the middle lane being dived up by Moraxis. There goes it. What a stun though from Magma. The face out came out. There's the freeze from Glacius. We'll set up the kill. But look at Dark Lady coming in with the charging strikes and the Dark Blade activated. And now Hani's in a lot of trouble. Ultimate's going to be up in 10 seconds. A great Quake Stun right there as he is going to try to make an excellent getaway. There goes a Dark Lady with the slow. Ultimate up in 2 seconds. Oh, he couldn't get it off in time. That would have been epic. But the final auto attack from Luna, which was uphill, it does connect, and Mr. Ghost will get the kill. So that actually worked out pretty damn well there for our Legion team. Power Mancer, of course, dying, but ends up being a 3-for-1 exchange.
Yep, definitely right. And Pyromancer, MVP right there. He was engaged on by Parasite as well as, who was it that was? Oh, Moraxis up in his face. There's absolutely nothing you can do against that. Moraxis hits him with one axe. Pyromancer's only out is to land that stun, and he had a beautifully placed stun that caught Parasite right after he threw the leech, that delayed the face hug and set up that beautiful stun that Magnus was able to connect with. I mean, Pyromancer is the one that made that whole thing possible. And given his lack of escape mechanism, he survived a surprisingly surprisingly good amount of time. So definitely got to give some credit there. But all the while, Era has just been off by himself, staying quiet, farming away. Very, very close to that Rune Cleaver now. It's about 150 gold away, and that is a scary time, especially when you compare him to Dark Lady, who, again, just on red boots and sustainers, comparing their farms, Magebane is going to take this game. So even though that was absolutely huge for the Hellborn side, they've leveled out this game for now. They need to slow down. They either need to stop this Magebane in his tracks, or they need to do something to get that Dark Lady hell.
Well, I will say this much, and maybe more so than most other games. I mean, still, it is a free-farming Magebane, and that's always scary no matter the case, but I go back to the lineup that ORGE has, and every single hero on this team has some way to lock down Magebane in a sense, and that's what's really keeping me from sitting here being too worried about how this game is going. Yes, it sucks that he's getting so much farm, but at the same time, as this game has progressed now, these last 3 or 4 minutes, ORGE Esports has had some nice kills. Dark Lady has recovered big time. She's now up to 250 gold per minute. She actually has one of her broadswords already purchased, I believe, so the next one going to be on the way, and then we'll have her Rune Cleaver, you know, in the near future coming up here, unless she buys, is that going to be Homecoming Stone? Yeah, she's going to buy Homecoming Stone down here as a possible fight, maybe taking place at the bottom lane, and obviously, you know, Dark Lady is rare as we see her. The one thing I will say is when she gets that Rune Cleaver, she amplifies quite a bit because of her abilities, and now it's synergized with it. We do see the Valkyrie ultimate enemies right here. There goes the Dark Lady ultimate as well. You can see it's on top of a couple of heroes, so Moraxis is going to activate his, trying to run away. Moraxis is now going to be jumped. This may set up for a turnaround though. Pyromancer ultimates Moraxis with his ultimate up. He absorbs the most of it, if not all of it. We see right there the exploder on top of Magnus. He will be taken out. Glacius falls though in the meantime. And when it's all said and done, it looks like it'll be 1-4. Will it be Arrow? Winning for the counter. Dark Lady will clean up Pyromancer right there as a result. A great Void Rift actually coming out from him. And he will also kill a Luna. Excellent AoE damage from that Void Rift. Really doing quite a bit right there for his team. Valkyrie going to leap away, and she should be fine in the end. But man, oh man, that was unfortunate target choices there by our Hellborn side. A great idea with the initiation, but I think Fnatic responded to it pretty well.
Exactly, and you have to question the choice to use that Pyromancer ulti on Moraxis with his ultimate up. I mean, we saw that ult do absolutely nothing but lower the amount of charges or the amount of HP Omni had already built up in that, or I said Omni, Hani had already built up in that absorption shield. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It really is. Like you said, that Void Rift, or Mana Rift, very, very well placed. And Era was actually the one to get the last hit on that tower as well, so that was a huge gold boost for him. See, in the mid lane, Hani going to be in some trouble. He does have that ultimate that he can activate if he can get it off, and indeed, he will not be able to, so he does get taken out. Maybe overstepping his bounds a little bit, but nice play from ORGE Esports to be able to capitalize on that. Magebane now, of course, finishing that Rune Cleaver, has picked up a Whispering Helm nice and early, which is a little bit of an interesting play, but I think that armor and life steal will go a long way against the Dark Lady if it ends up being a one-on-one kind of melee blow battle.
Yeah, that's definitely, you could argue, even more of a safer route, but I think exactly, you know, just in case of, and very likely, again, because we keep focusing on this Mage, but look at the supporting cast. I mean, it literally is just Magebane way up there in a level of his own, which again is very scary, but everyone else is kind of on an even level. This is actually a very even game if you take him out of it. I know that's kind of silly to say, but so And that my point though being that this very likely could still go to a mid to a late game. I mean, very very likely with the matchup with the lineups that we have and with how Orange Esports has started to recover. So I definitely like that choice there from Mage Bane. Getting the Whispering Helm, it can definitely help tank a little bit, and while he's in the midst of that, get some life back while he's going all at it, and also eventually the Similar Rage, of course, when we do get into the later game for that luxury item to build it into. So. Definitely like that choice once again. But again, speaking of Dark Lady, she's got that Rune Cleaver now. I'm probably going to be, finishing those Steam Boots next, but she is starting to pick up as well. But I think Shrunken Head is going to be the key here, well, for both heroes, but let alone Mage Bane. And I think that's where our Hellborn team at least has a little bit of a timing window until that happens. Because when that happens, of course, that will lock down a lot of what they have. But before he gets to Shrunken Head, there's still opportunities for our Hellborn team to make stuff happen.
I think you're exactly right. Dark Lady now finishing up that Rune Cleaver is definitely well on her way. Still a ways to go before she catches up with Mage Bane, but as you mentioned, they're making a recovery. And we can't forget that they have a Valkyrie as well who's farming just below 300 GPM also. So although we've been talking about the two hard carries, eventually Valkyrie will become a pretty scary right-click auto-attack hero as well to complement that damage from Dark Lady. So a lot of physical damage. I mean, this might be one of those games where we see a couple of those barbed armors coming out if it goes on long enough. Which can certainly be very powerful against those agility carries once they get a bit more farmed. Pyromancer does have a portal key of his own. Valkyrie looking like she's gearing up for a Nullstone here. She does have the Sustainer complete and just about 1,800 sitting in the bank. So items are starting to come out here, Breaky. And there it is. Fly going to go ahead and pick up that Codex onto Parasite, and that is going to be a scary item in this game if they can lock down that Dark Lady. That is going to add a huge amount of burst damage, especially before she gets a Shrunken Head. I think that's going to be a big item pickup for Parasite.
Yeah, it's the same way. Both Dark Lady and Mage Bane, if they get jumped, I mean, they will be very, very vulnerable to that burst damage that both of these teams definitely have. So that, of course, that initiation factor, as we call it, is going to be the huge key. That Pyromancer portal key, though, with the double damage rune, okay, that's going to wear off right there, but... Oh, this could get interesting. Bubble's going to be found. Oh, he gets the Song of the Sea out before. In comes Pyromancer. He completely misses the stun, though. The Shell Report out from Bubbles, who portal keys after, will survive. Orange Esports did not execute that the greatest, unfortunately, as Magnus dies and everyone else stays alive. Even the Valkyrie Prism was used right there. So, yeah, just really unfortunate placement of abilities there coming out from Orange.
Yeah, but if you give credit to Fnatic as well, they executed that very nicely, sort of on the other side of the coin. And Magnus without any magic armor, I mean, a level 10 Bubbles, it's no surprise that Magnus died as fast as he did without any Mystic Vestments. Interestingly enough, no one on the Hellborn side, actually no one has Mystic Vestments at all in this game, which I find a little bit interesting. I would imagine at least a couple
does.
People. Is Meraxis... Did I totally...
one.
Oh yeah, Meraxis does. Okay, I'm sorry, I did miss that. But
still,
Meraxis is the only one with Mystic Vestments, and both teams have a fairly considerable amount of magic damage between Parasite and Bubbles and Glacius, I guess, on the Legion team. Then, I mean, Pyromancer as well as Luna and Magnus on the Hellborn side. I think you could warrant the 400 gold investment here.
Yeah, no, you definitely could, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that as the game progresses. Leap away from Valkyrie at the last second, gonna save it for now. There's that Dark Lady ultimate. Eruption gonna be cast by Magnus now, trying to turn this around. The arrow gonna come in, it's gonna hit. Yes, the 5-second arrow will connect with Moraxis. Are they gonna be able to follow this up effectively? Look at Pyromancer jumping in. He ultimates Bubbles before he can do anything. There's that kill on Moraxis, and Parasite gonna leech and run away as a result. Excellent catch right there from the Hellborn team. Great response on their part. However, Mage Bane still going at the top side. Now, he did choose to go a Firebrand here, which, got to think is eventually going to turn into that Geometer's Bane. So he isn't necessarily putting Shrunken Head on high priority right now. So I continue to go back to our Hellborn side. That's where they really need to capitalize off of, because before he gets that Shrunken Head, that is their chance to strike and make something happen. They're going to push this bottom lane. This will be the second tower kill for them, as I don't see Fnatic being able to stop this. So there we go. Port is going to come in, or is it even going to be canceled? No, it is going to come in, but Mage Man will, of course, just blink away and continue to farm himself. So Dark Lady, 2,400 gold saved up. She's definitely, again, has fully recovered, really. She's now up to 360 gold per minute, and it constantly rises.
Yep.
She keeps comparing it to Mage Man, so.
She's definitely made a recovery, but yeah, the point you made at the end, I mean, a great recovery, but Mage Bane at 500 GPM, still a leg up over Dark Lady, to say the least. And it was a smart play from Era. If he could have gotten that tower up at the top, that would have made that 2-for-0 hero exchange in the bottom a little bit worthwhile. If you can say, all right, well, our carry is going to go ahead and get this tower kill. And probably in the eyes of Fnatic, they were thinking after that Yeah, we could have executed that better. Unfortunately, we didn't get any kills, but Mage Bane put a lot of pressure on that top lane and picked up a lot of solo farm. So any heat that they can keep off of Era, in exchanges like that, really aren't so bad. Had Mage Bane been there and gone down, that would have been one thing. But allowing him to just free farm while the rest of the Hellborn team is grouped up, you could make a case that Fnatic probably broke even in that exchange. Maybe that's a fair statement to say.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
so
Mage Bane's still doing his own
all
thing.
food for thought.
And there goes this Geometer's Bane right there. Yep. So it's ridiculous. So we're only 25 minutes in. Geometer's Bane, Whispering Helm, Rune Cleaver already. He's going to take out these triple stacked Ancients. Obviously, that's where you got to give credit to, especially I'm sure Fntc doing a good chunk of that. Make sure to keep them stacked for Mage Bane eventually come over to and take out. Another thing I wanted to stress, though, is we've seen a couple times now in this game. By the way, a 5-second arrow will connect with Bubbles right there, and Pyromancer follows it up with Valkyrie to set up the easy kill. Valkyrie, man, has been landing some nice arrows, especially on Bubbles. Seems like he's attracting them quite a bit. But Dark Lady's ultimate, again, I like to bring this up whenever we see Dark Lady, is that it's such a... It really is a hard ultimate to see as a spectator, but we've all been there. I'm sure most of us have, if that. Mm-hmm. It sucks to go against, and it is really frustrating to go against, because as soon as you lose that vision around you, let alone your teammates, it's like, crap, I'm completely panicked now. What am I going to do? And it is a big deal. Also the slow that it provides, which obviously the 10% movement speed. So the arrow's going to hit right there, and Tarkin is going to jump in. Mage Bane well enough falling. What a freaking 5-second arrow once again coming off of Valkyrie. Dark Lady doing some excellent baiting right there. You could also say, though, Era maybe being a little bit too cocky with that situation.
Oh. Definitely right. I'm not sure if he had vision of all the follow-up heroes there, the Valkyrie and the Pyromancer, but definitely right. I mean, just kind of showing off the amount of damage he can do to Dark Lady given the opportunity. And, well, it definitely backfired. I mean, now I have to agree with you. Wang here on this Valkyrie, absolutely fantastic Valkyrie play so far. He's sitting 4-1 and 2. He's been playing absolutely fantastic. And again, looking at these farms, Valkyrie... still farming nicely. I mean, she's at 340 GPM, and if this game goes on long enough, as it seems it may, only 27 minutes in, still remarkably even, this Hellborn team does have a little bit more carry potential, I guess you could say, given that they have 2 agility heroes. And that's something very important to keep in mind as Valkyrie's farm continues to improve as well. If you look at the GPM chart, it's really easy to get hung up on that Mage Bane, who still leagues ahead of everyone else, but the rest of the Legion team really isn't in great shape. Miraxis, the only one still at a comparable level, and only at 260 GPM. So they're, Fnatic's really committing to putting all of their eggs in that Mage Bane basket, and I'm sure thinking back now, that Shrunken Head may be looking a little bit more appealing.
I keep going, I look at that too, and I'm like, you know what, if he doesn't go Shrunken Head next, I very, very going to scratch my head, literally scratch my head, and be like, what are you thinking, Era? I do want to say, though, speaking of Shrunken Head, obviously finished on Dark Lady, she did accidentally use it while she was jungling. And, it's one of those things, it's unfortunate, probably not going to, it's not the cooldown won't be up for the next fight, but it is 1 second less now, and that will add up. So, of course, rather than 10 seconds, it will be 9 seconds in the next team fight. So, again, just one of those kind of really unfortunate mistakes, but, hey, it happened, life moves on, but still definitely worth noting there.
Definitely. That's one of those things that's so easy to overlook. But it's just a second. But we've seen, that 5-second Shrunken Head. It really is a lot different from when you first get it and pop it for 10. It doesn't feel like a lot, but once it gets down to 5 seconds, that item's usefulness is really, it's basically cut in half, I think you could say.
Yeah.
Very important to note.
Well, yeah, it is definitely cut in half.
Basically, it's cut in half. Whoa.
Hey, I did the math real quickly after you said that, and yes, you're right.
Hey, I went to college. All right, I figured it out.
I busted out the calculator, but I figured it out. Yeah, so that's definitely worth noting again. But I also love the Nullstone pickup on Valkyrie. I look at this Legion team, and I think that really, it's just a pure counter to Parasite is what it is. I mean, you got, of course, Mana Rift. I've been calling it Void Rift, but Mana Rift from Mage Bane, and then the Freeze from Glacius, which are actually 2 very powerful abilities to be able to nullify as well. So overall, I really like the amount of protection that Nullstone brings. And again, as we always talk about as well, with the stats that it provides and the region and everything, very solid pickup for Valkyrie. And the fact that she also has a Slayer now, big news too. But at the top lane, look at Mage Bane pushing it up. Takes out the tower. Now the support is coming, so perhaps some baiting going to try to go on here from Fnatic. as Moraxis obviously with that portal key close by, but no, she's going to blink away. However, Magebear will get caught right. Ooh, Pyromancer doesn't fall. Magnus misses the stun. That is big right there. Got some decent eruption damage off, but the flash armor was activated on Magebear while that was happening, so mitigated quite a bit. Dark Lady will be able to get away, especially because of that Valkyrie Prism. So a lot of cluster, like uncertainty going on right here, I guess is a better word, between both of these teams, and in the end, both are going to end up falling back, but I think that Orange Esports lost out on a lot more right there. They had the big chance to pick off Magebane. Just the stuns just were not on top of one another.
Nope, you're exactly right. You know, that Magnus ult was kind of unfortunate. If he, like you said, if he could have connected with that stun, that would have been a much different engage, but just didn't work out. Dark Lady, though, she has finished up that Shrunken Head, and this is when she's going to start to get really dangerous. Parasite could be in trouble in the mid lane. They're going to go in. Is that arrow going to connect? Not quite, but there's the slow from Dark Lady, and there's no way Fly is surviving that one as he does fall. Dark Lady going to be the one to pick up that kill, so she's continuing to improve. And now look at that GPM charge. She is nipping at Era's heels, about 100 GPM behind. Valkyrie continuing to rise up like yeast as well. And this Hellborn side continuing to look scarier and scarier as this game goes on. You see the experience lead slowly growing in their favor, and actually now the gold lead growing in their favor as well as they take out a triple stacked ancient set of their own. Things continuing to look good. That Shrunken Head, though. Oh, wait, we've already talked about the Shrunken Head. Why am I surprised by that?
I know. I was actually kind of wondering myself. Like, we're just talking about how you accidentally used it.
That was a total brain fart. I don't know where that came from. My mistake, good sir. But whoa,
Wow.
Valkyrie going to get taken out. Tanking the Ancients for a bit too long. A nice read by Hani. He comes in and finishes her off very easily with that bursty ultimate. Throwing those axes towards the Luna. And actually some pretty nice juking coming out there from Mr. Ghost. Hani not going to be able to pick up another kill, but unfortunately Wang Wang is going to get taken down after taking out the Ancients.
Yeah, that, like you said, perhaps taking them a little bit too long. A good read on Hani, definitely. There to get the kill. And now, once again, Magebane pushing tower with the split up illusions. In comes Moraxis and the creep over the assistance. And another tower kill going down in Fnatic's favor. That is the 5th tower kill when you compare it to the 3 that Orange Esports has right now. So obviously looking good for Fnatic there. And now Conquer being attempted. Now there is a ward aside here, well in the open. So Orange Esports very aware that this is happening. But with Valkyrie dead for another 20 seconds, I don't know if they're going to feel comfortable responding to this. So they are going to send Magnus and Pyromancer over for now. Of course, Magnus does have his level 2 Eruption, and I think they are actually going to get enough time. So yeah, we see the Legion team Parasite on the Minotaur. He will have to fall back, spawn out of it, and kind of do a reset here, if anything. So Fnatic, will they stick around to actually go for a kill, or will they fall back to farm? It looks like it is going to be the latter as Magebane goes back into the jungle. Now, Magebane has 4,500 gold saved up, so clearly enough for a Shrunken Head, but again, in a game like this, where it is so freaking close, 32.5 minutes in, buybacks are very important. So you could argue, I wouldn't be surprised that's what he's keeping in mind, and at least wants enough gold for a buyback after he purchases it. But I don't know, man. Is he actually going to go Shrunken Head, or is it going to be Era and perhaps go something different, maybe unexpected here? We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if he wanted that Shrunken Head, he could have had it by now, a while ago. So it's a toss-up. I mean, I almost said a Frosto Skull, and then I was like, oh, those attack modifiers, those sneaky dogs. I really don't know. I still think Shrunken Head's going to be the best bet, but you're right. I'm still a little bit surprised. We do see Kongor, though, getting dangerously low, and Orange Esports Malaysia going to come in. They did do some really nice counter warding here, got the vision, and took out Kongor. So now Dark Lady's going to have the token, and she has another 4,500 saved up of her own, and we'll see where she goes as far as item choices are concerned. I mean, what are you thinking as far as item picks for Dark Lady? I mean, maybe a Shield Breaker might not even be a bad case for her.
Yeah, I think exactly. Just pure raw damage at this point. I mean, look at the Legion team. You got really everyone but Moraxis even can be very, very squishy, especially to physical damage. And I say that because, of course, the flash armor from Magebane, which, speaking of Magebane, oh no for him! In comes Darkness with Science, the Magnuson on top of that. There's the red power, so he's going to split up, though, and be able to port away. So that's obviously a benefit, big benefit of having Geometer's Bane. Will be able to get out of that silence if need be, but definitely needed to be careful right there, but is able to get away. So it's unfortunate that Magnus didn't stagger the stun as well with the silence, or vice versa even. But anyways, he gets away. But yeah, I think just raw damage, because physical damage will just tear up this Legion team, really, other than maybe Moraxis. But of course, that's Moraxis for you. So I definitely think the raw damage around factor 2. Ooh, Brutalizer picked up by Dark Lady, and you know what? I like that pickup because this is definitely a statement of, you know what? I realize there's gonna be situations where I may be going 1 versus this Mage Bane. We're gonna have some right-click battling, and what better way to help win that battle than getting an item like a Brutalizer and proccing those stuns.
Especially because Mage Bane has lifesteal. That's sort of his, in that 1v1 situation, all right, I'm going to need lifesteal to go toe-to-toe with Dark Lady, but, you get a bash proc, and that's really big. It not only prevents him from doing damage to you, but stops him from lifestealing, and that's going to be absolutely huge. So I think really kind of a brilliant pick from Dark Lady here, but we'll see what Mage Bane does. I mean, Era's getting up to about 7,000 gold here. I mean, at some point, he's this way he can right-click any item in the game and just start having fun with it, so who knows? The sky's the limit. I mean, when I see Mage Bane, I always think Frostwolf Skull is a viable choice, which, he could end up going that route if he moves into that Symbol of Rage, as you talked about, but he's going to pick up a Demonic Breastplate, so I would not have guessed that one. That's a little bit
but that is a statement, again, kind of, Dark Lady is my worry. You got your CC, you got your surrounding magic damage, but Dark Lady's definitely my big worry, and I'm going to go ahead and get some armor. And, of course, with Valkyrie, too, she is starting to put out more and more physical damage. We talked about the Slayer, and I'm sure eventually to be that Savage Mace. Dark Lady, wow, Dark Lady going to get caught down here, will use the ultimate. She's in a lot of trouble, though. Of course, she has a token of life. No, but she's going to pour it away, so I think her ultimate really, again, scared off Fnatic and able to easily get her way in. Well, yeah, you're right. I guess the Valkyrie Prison may have had something to do with it, but anyway, she finishes her Savage Mace right there. So yeah, I definitely like that pickup from Mage Bane. I do think it is a lot more of a defensive-minded pickup than offensive purpose because, again, sure, it'll enhance his damage, but I think when he goes that item, he's thinking more of, I have to deal with this Dark Lady and Valkyrie now as this game progresses. So armor can definitely be a good thing, but that was a good chunk of gold right there, and still no Shrunken Head, so we'll continue to see if the lack of Shrunken Head could prove to be the difference maker here for that Mage Bane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's certainly a good thing to point out. I mean, it's not that Demonic Breastplate is bad, it's that timing, as you said. Shrunken Head first, maybe then Demonic may be the way to go, but we'll see in these upcoming team fights. I think it'll become somewhat obvious. 5 seconds on, going to connect with Glacius as he falls. Mirax is going to be able to finish off Magmus here as well, but Hani may be in a little bit of trouble also. Pyromancer taking a lot of tower damage as he goes down. See Parasite finishing a kill onto Mr. Ghost as well, but Mage Bane could be in a little bit of trouble here. Is he going to have that blink? There's that silence from Dark Lady. Dark Lady going to man up here, but there's Parasite using that portal key that he just fashioned. Is going to be able to burn that token on Dark Lady, and she's going to have to play a little bit more defensive here. So obviously that engage going much more in favor of this Legion side. A beautiful take cover from No Tail right there to dodge that arrow, and now we're going to see both Valkyrie and Dark Lady in a little bit of trouble. I don't know if Dark Lady is going to be able to survive this one. Not going to be able to make it. Did have the Dark Blades on the way, but it will not going to be enough. Or I was thinking Charging Blades, but did have it. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get out. Valkyrie now going to be in big trouble. The Nullstone going to be burned. Mage Bane just doing too much damage. There's the Codex from Fly, so the Hellborn side does get cleaned up. Genocide not counted for, but because Magmus does respawn, but all 5 heroes do end up dying.
That was simply just better play by Fnatic. They won that fight simply on better decision making, better skill even. I am not a fan of Dark Lady's decision to dive as much as he did, especially on a Miraxis for as long because especially he left his supporting cast kind of very vulnerable in the background, and that showed. Mage Bane jumped in the background and he just destroyed Pyromancer, who I don't think did anything that fight. Magmus was next to follow. He didn't do too much either, and then of course Valkyrie was busy trying to chase down as well. So, I don't know if Dark Lady necessarily had the best correct decision right there. We do see a jump on a Pyromancer as Bubbles ends up helping to get the kill right there. Mage Bane going to follow this up on a Magmus now, but there we go. Shrunken Heads are activated again. Miraxis, the target of choice by Dark Lady, but they're just all going to fall back and, well, they'll end up surviving. So, again, Fnatic makes not only a great defensive stand, but also apply some pressure. Now they didn't get the tower kill, obviously extending a little bit there, so not enough pressure on the tower, but yeah, I definitely think that was just better play overall from Fnatic and mix of poor target choicing from Orange as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, after that fight, you just look at the cooldowns. Pyromancer didn't get his ultimate off in that fight down here near the Fnatic Tier 2. Magnus didn't get to initiate with his ultimate. There were a lot of abilities that weren't used in that fight that they really needed. So I totally agree. I think they were a little bit too hasty for Dark Lady to dive in. And maybe her plan was just to try and pick up maybe kind of a quick kill, and then they could reset the fight. But unfortunately, it just ended up being this chaotic fight where Pyromancer got caught in a terrible position, as we saw. And, I mean, Pyromancer took more damage from the tower than anyone else, I think, in that last big engage. So it was just sort of sloppy all around, and, that could really cost them. Now we see Fnatic picking up a lot of momentum. Magebane now above 600 GPM by about 20 GPM or so, and actually just picked up his Symbol of Rage. So now we see Magebane as this just unbelievably strong hero right now who is just going to be really scary to deal with. He really has kind of one more item slot once he gets rid of that port, and then probably going to have to get rid of that Rune Cleaver eventually. But he's capping out pretty quick here as far as items are concerned, much faster than that of Dark Lady.
Yeah, and I was actually, I think Wingbow would actually be a very valuable choice here for Dark Lady, especially considering, Magebane is very much so a good chunk of the damage on the Legion team. I mean, sure, Parasite actually gets good upfront burst, but yeah, we really are getting to a stage 40 minutes in now and only counting of this is going to be more about the Magebane versus the Dark Lady as this game progresses. And yeah, but at the same time, there's very likely, though, too, Magebane could still invest into a Savage Mace as his next item of choice. As he said, he's really got that one slot left for a big item. So that's kind of the risk, I guess you could say, as look at that. So definitely going a little bit different than what I initially expected, but he did go double Arcana right there. So he is going to be going Hellflower. And, I mean, what better way to stop a hero like Magebane than CC him some more? With a hero like Hellflower, that'll definitely accomplish that. So, and the great thing about Hellflower, it does obviously provide some solid stats in the sense of added damage and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I can't say that's what I ultimately expected, but I can definitely see why and how it will prove to be a powerful item if they get to use it. So.
Yeah, absolutely right. Especially since Magebane doesn't have that shrunken head, even that much more scary to deal with, I suppose you could say. So I don't know. I mean, still a really even game. Legion side obviously ahead here. Magebane's still the #1 farmer by a long shot, but ORGE Esports is definitely not out of it yet. Kongor should be respawning pretty quickly here, at least another minute or so. And I think Kongor is going to become really the driving force of this game. Whichever carry can get a second life is going to be absolutely huge.
By the way, I think a big point is obviously Pyromancer also working on Hellflower, but big point about that item, and again, the kind of thing that came to my mind, I'm sure a lot of other people's like, he already has a silence. Why would he bother getting a Hellflower for another silence? Well, the biggest thing about that, well, of course, other than the fact that it adds amplified damage and whatnot, but we've seen several times already how Magebane's able to use a Geometer's Bane after getting silenced by Dark Lady, and he just gets away as a result of that. Obviously, Hellflower, it doesn't only silence, but it also perplexes. So if he has that Hellflower on him, he will not even be able to split up with the Geometer's Bane, let alone use the Symbol of Rage. I mean, that's another big thing to keep in mind. So that's, yeah, the more and more I'm thinking about it, definitely the more and more I'm liking it. So Pyromancer also going to be getting it. That is going to be huge here for this Hellborn team, and Magebane is going to, as farmed as he is, that will still prove to be scary.
Yep, I mean, you're exactly right. That is the big difference between the Dark Lady Silence and Hellflower, of course, that it does perplex, where her silence does not. So that is a buff that something very important. I mean, it'll also stop him from using Geometer's Bane, which, as we saw, I mean, that just obliterates someone's mana in a matter of seconds. So that can be another powerful item to mitigate as well, especially if he moves into a Shrunken Head, as we've seen many times in the past. Hellflower is an effective counter to that item as well. So I completely agree. With those two Hellflowers, there is still a lot of hope for ORGE Esports Malaysia. And again, as this game goes on longer and longer, they're going to slowly start to pull further and further ahead with their two carries. So, I mean, Valkyrie is not much of a joke right now either. She's finished that that Savage Mace rather, and sitting on about 2.3k gold herself. So she's really starting to transition into more of a harder carry also as this game goes on. Farm continuing to improve now at 360 GPM as well.
Yeah, and I think, again, this is obviously just a case of we're getting into that luxury stage even as these items progress. I mean, you mentioned Kongor going to be a big part. And sure enough, we see right here, Fnatic going for that Kongor kill once again. Now, there is no vision. Is there really no vision here? No, there is one right here.
Yep, they've got one
awarded sight, so ORGE definitely aware of this. It is going to be counter-warded as Dark Lady actually takes out that top, or helps push in that top lane while Kongor is being attempted. But we do see some catching opportunity right here. No, it's going to be Valkyrie getting away as a leech, of course, deactivating the Null Stone. But at least Orange Esports will take Fnatic off Kongor for now, and constantly scouting out with that red power throw as well. So, and it is very dangerous for Fnatic. Obviously, this is a pretty good jumping team, especially in a small area for that Orange Esports has. So they got to be really careful, and they don't have any offensive wards up here for great vision. They are gonna. That is the Hellborn's courier, so never mind. But they actually, okay, they do have a ward side up here. Actually, I take that back. But it is gonna run out though. The courier almost died. Nothing on it, so not necessarily the hugest deal, but that's still, it's giving them some decent vision, and what would be unfortunate. But there goes the vision for Legion team. Of course, they still have one over here into the Ancients. Valkyrie Prism was not used right there. They will jump Magebane though. The Hellfire Diamond. And look at Magebane dropping. Will it be enough for the kill? It doesn't look like it. A great response coming out from Fnatic as Moraxis jumped in as well to Kelfield. And now Dark Lady getting turned around on. Dark Lady will fall. Where was Magnus throughout all that? Where was Aluna for that matter? The whole team wasn't there. They had a chance, but Fnatic had all 5 there, and that proved to be huge for Fnatic Great Call. Excellent response by them. And now they're going to make a huge push now.
Yeah, this is really, really bad for our Hellborn side. They do have enough stored up for buybacks here, so both Dark Lady and Valkyrie going to buy back. A huge Magnus ult going to be used. Both Magebane as well as Parasite are going to get taken out here, and this could be huge as well. Of course, Arrow, with plenty of money in the bank, is going to be able to buy back. So a beautiful response from Orange Esports Malaysia. It looks like Fntc is going to get taken down as well. The hat trick coming out in favor of Dark Lady, so certainly some worthwhile buybacks there and a beautiful defense. They may even be able to pick up
huge.
No, that's as well.
You're saying that's huge. I mean, they just freaking held it off. They got the genocide, and they're going to get Kongor. Unbelievable for Orange right there. They completely turned the game around. I thought for sure after that last team fight, Fnatic was going to start pushing in. This game, it might start going in their favor, if not victory. Orange just completely held them off. Token of life on Dark Lady now. Magebane bought back, too. That's a big thing to keep in mind also. So he now is down 1 buyback. Dark Lady, of course, now down all of her buybacks, but by all means worth it right there, as Valkyrie also down 1. But that was huge for Orange Esports.
I'm a little bit surprised that Era bought back as quickly as he did. I mean, that was an instant, like, I died, I'm buying back, let's do this. But, like you said, no follow-up. I mean, yeah, now he's farming in the jungle a little bit. But buybacks are going to become so valuable in this game. The fact that Dark Lady is out is definitely a problem, but like you said, I mean, there's no other option at that point. Now Dark Lady with a double damage rune, this could be absolutely huge. Oh, those are just illusions, never mind. So not going to be so huge, but still, wow. I mean, we are back at a dead even game here. The Hellborn side actually pulling ahead in experience, only behind by 2,000 gold, which is just pennies at this point. I'm a little bit shocked here. Magebane with another 5k in the bank. Moraxis now sitting with his barbed armor. As we talked about earlier on, certainly going to become a valuable item in this game. 2 Hellflowers now complete for the Hellborn side. Things are getting interesting, Breaky.
Yeah, I still can't believe it. It looked like for sure Fnatic was that may have done it, but now this is interesting. Magebane kind of doing some backdooring here in the middle lane, going to start putting pressure on the tower, but look at the top lane. Dark Lady and Valkyrie up here. We're going to have a tower exchange now. Look at Dark Lady getting bursted. Is a token of life going to be cost? It looks like it is, but in jumps Magnus actually with the eruption. Parasite very likely going to fall. Of course, Dark Lady ends up dying, but she comes right back with the token of life. Magebane is still in that middle lane pushing. He finally ports it, but he gets hellflowered immediately right there by the Hellborn team. Moraxis comes back in and finish off Magnus. Dark Lady needs to think about getting back right now, because now Magebane again joining the party. There goes Dark Lady ultimate though, trying to maybe turn this around. Nope, never mind. Dark Lady will start falling back, and I think that'll be the get out of here. It will activate the shrunken head, but no homecoming stone. Oh no, Dark Lady very likely in a lot of trouble now. I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of this. I mean, they obviously know he's here, and the charging strike's coming off on cooldown in 3 seconds, but that'll just get him a little bit away. And yeah, it's not going to be nearly enough. So he will. Oh wow! He just took out Bubbles right before, but he cannot buy back now. And he's down for 100 seconds, 3,900 gold saved up.
Yep.
Magebane just pushed in the middle lane in the meantime.
Yeah. Well, while all that was going on, Aluna tried to port out, and Magebane was on Pyromancer, had a beautiful mana rift, and was able to pick up a double tap. And that's really, picking up that kill on Dark Lady is great, but being able to kill both those heroes now just opens up this window where it's a 3v1 situation. I don't think there are any buybacks available except for Valkyrie and Aluna. Of course, Valkyrie is alive, and Aluna's only dead for 11 more seconds or so, but Magebane did finish off the Rax in the mid. They're going to get this bottom lane of Rax. And now things are really looking grim for our Hellborn team. 2 lanes of Rax down. Dark Lady out of buybacks. We'll see Magnus just get annihilated right there. Valkyrie doing some decent damage, but Magebane able to tank it and just blink back to safety. Oh, Era sitting with almost 9,000 gold in the bank.
And he spends 100 gold of it buying a health potion right there to regen his life. As there we go once again, the jump. Pyromancer falls. Valkyrie going to get caught out here. Tableted forward, but I think Yep, will end up falling in the end. Again, Dark Lady's still dead for another 30 seconds. It kind of does make you question a little bit, you know. Oh, there's a Doombringer, by the way. No big deal. Mage Bane goes for the Doombringer, so that's kind of the in-your-face, like, this game is officially over, and I'm going to make the statement that it is. Now, I know they were, caught up in a big fight right there, but having 3,900 gold saved up when you die with no buybacks, that's unfortunate. That is kind of a big deal. But in the end, Fnatic Raid Call is going to be victorious here. What a game, though. I mean, that game, it was intense, no doubt. But boy, oh boy, Fnatic is going to be victorious. ORGE Esports, though, I'm excited for this team. I mean, again, they are going to be at DreamHack, representing the Southeast Asia region, one of the two teams winning the qualifiers over there. And we got a little bit of a tease here of maybe what to expect. And I was entertained. I was definitely impressed and entertained by them, so I can't wait.
I was as well. I know there were a lot of people in chat, sort of talking a little bit of smack on ORGE Esports. I think they played this game very, very well. I mean, it even takes brass just to last pick that Dark Lady and say, you're going to pick Mage Bane? Well, guess what? We're going Dark Lady. We're going to go toe-to-toe. Just to do that against, Era, who's one of the best, I think pretty highly regarded as one of the best Mage Bane players around right now. That takes a lot of brass to do that, and then execute it to a degree that's pretty close. I mean, there were some times in that game where it looked like Fnatic was on shaky ground, very, very back and forth after 50 minutes. They were able to do it, but a hell of a game. Like you said, I am so pumped to see both these teams at DreamHack. If anything, this is just a prelude to all right, well, there's one match between these two teams. It was epic. Well, there's going to be a whole group of teams of this caliber at DreamHack. So I'm beyond excited. Yeah, words cannot express.
That's going to be big. And so I'm glad that, obviously our final match of the day, but I'm glad that we got a great match to finish on here on this Friday. But that is going to do it for today with that said. And with that said, also, Fnatic, they do qualify for the Invitational here now in the It's Gosu event. So, obviously, a win here in the quarterfinals puts them in the semifinals, but the top 4 teams from this event moving on. So, there you go. We will see Fnatic Raid Call in that Invitational. Unfortunately for ORGE Esports, their road will end here, at least for the month of May. But still, again, really glad that we got the opportunity, at the very least, to see them. But big congratulations to Fnatic, and definitely looking forward to seeing how they fare in that Invitational, of course.
Absolutely right. The other 3 teams have qualified. The upper portion semifinals will be Team It's Gosu facing off against Frenetic Array tomorrow at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock CET for you Europeans. And in the bottom portion of the bracket, it is going to be Fnatic Raid Call facing off against blackfade.org. So 2 very, very strong best of 3s to start things off tomorrow. And then, of course, the finals will be tomorrow to wrap up this event. The Invitational coming up next weekend, and it's a hell of a lineup for this May Invitational at It's Gosu. So I am looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
A lot of great Heroes of New Earth to look forward to in the upcoming weeks.
There is, man. I mean, that is exciting hearing that lineup there. As, again, we're getting ready to get to this big DreamHack event, but we're seeing this team start coming back and getting a lot more active, and it is showing, obviously, with our recent ranking, the first one we've had in a long time, and with 17 or 18 teams getting at least some kind of vote, it goes to show you that we're getting... The Han competitive scene is not only coming back, but it's coming back very strong, and it is growing quite a bit as well. So it's exciting, no doubt seeing it. But that is going to do it for today. So, again, I was Breaky CBK. Joining me is Ziori here on Honcast.com. And as always, stay tuned to Honcast.com for much, much more coverage. We'll be back tomorrow. Which one we're going to cover, we'll have to wait and see. But same time, 12 p.m. Pacific, 2100 Central European Time. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good night. Take it easy.
Peace.